presents to you Honest Talk.
Hi folks, today we are back with one more great and leading personality, Madam Rana Tandon. Rana Tandon, an international speaker, mentor and educator, breakthrough transformation coach, dynamic trainer, change strategist, Bilnium diva evangelist, author and an enterprising entrepreneur, mentor with Indo-Swiss UK company Thrive to Connect, blogger and writer. Rana believes, you are the leader of your life, take charge, and that's the ingredient for happiness. This secret key and her plus energy creates the magical self-awareness and amazes how transformation happens so effortlessly. Having pursued masters in VLSI Engineering UK, her profound knowledge and colorful personality blend unfolds how creatively and smoothly she motivates people to design the success in their life. She specializes in intensive leadership training which provides participants the ideas of improvisation and true purpose at every step of their life, personally and professionally through training. So, let's begin our talk with our today's guest, Madam Rana Tandon.
So first of all, ma'am, I welcome you to this session. Thank you so much, ma'am, for joining and agreeing to share your thoughts with us. We are extremely very happy to have you for today's talk.
Thank you so much, Harsh, and thank you, team Honest Talks and Freak Talks. Thank you for having me here today.
Thank you so much, ma'am. It's our pleasure. So moving to the topic of today's session, which we have chosen is the relation between gender bias, myths, and the growth of an organization, unveiling the truths for productivity. Ma'am, as we all know, being a founder and you have a lot of experience, ma'am, my first question to you, what do you believe, what are the factors responsible for the growth of organization?
So as we know, the growth of an organization basically depends on certain factors. Okay, it depends on the leadership in which the organization grows, whether it's more inclusive, whether the growth and productivity of the organization depends on all the ideas which are coming in, putting minds together, trying to understand what is that we can bring in as solutions for all the problems that arise. For example, now we are in pandemic. So whatever we used to talk about sales, growth, targets, our KRAs, our KPIs, we need to bring them together. But we always have talents. We will always find knowledge. We will always find skillful people. What we lack is how we need to align all of them together so that we can have a more inclusive and a safe workplace. So I would say the key areas for productivity of any organization could be some leadership traits. There would be market fluctuations which we need to keep in mind, and economic growth, or even a mindset which has always bringing in equal talents with equality, being able to give equal opportunity to everybody who grow, and being able to delegate and coordinate good amount of work so that we emerge as a creative, equal, healthy workspace where we have a direction going towards the right leadership which can be driven for an output or a goal.
All right, ma'am. It was really a very wonderful answer from your side, and I think the viewers, those who are watching this session, it will be fruitful for them as well. Ma'am, my next question to you, or rather say, what we keep listening is that the organization, those who promote diverse and inclusive culture in their organization, inside the organization, have more chances to grow. Ma'am, I want to know your thoughts over it, and how does diversity and inclusion enhance organization? What does true workplace diversity and inclusion look like?
Okay, so your question is how diversity and inclusion helps workplaces, right?
Correct.
To grow. Now, let's understand we have a workplace which has different divisions, different sectors of work, right? To foster employee engagement, there are going to be people from different lifestyles, there are going to be people from different backgrounds, there are going to be people from different families. Now, to accommodate one thing which is a vision and mission of the company, and the second thing is the vision and mission of the person himself. Whenever we bring in new people, we always see that their vision and our vision are being aligned, so that the goal of, say, the next upcoming years is being able to achieve with this inclusion, right? Now, why we need diversity and inclusion is because when we do D&I activities, when we talk about various acts like POSH and POXO and various aspects of human rights, equality, citizen rights, women rights, we need to internally imbibe all these qualities, because these are not qualities alone. these are mindsets. These are initiatives to accommodate the unique ideas, needs of every organization with their employees. So what are we trying to promote? We are trying to promote safety, healthy workspaces, equality. We're trying to imbibe the inclusions of what everybody goes through as their life situations. Various situations, various real-time stories people go through. How do I and you know of it? Because only when we bring in that ease of talking, that ease of bringing forward what's happening inside us, inside the organization, around us, only then there'll be a platform of how openness, inclusiveness, diversity, where different backgrounds are coming in, and allowing people to be just themselves, included, whether they are fearful, whether they are happy, whether they are open, whether they are bringing in new ideas to the table, so that they feel secure and achieve greater success to the organization, which we call growth and productivity. So I'm sure now you know that for a sustainable current global organization, we need an environment of diversity and inclusion, which is going to help us grow, not only in our business growth, but also in our personal growth and development.
All right, ma'am. Again, it was really a very quite insightful answer from your side, and you have very beautifully explained that how diversity and inclusion helps the organization to grow more. Ma'am, my next question to you, if we talk about the measurement of diversity and inclusion inside an organization, then what are the ways or how to measure diversity and inclusion for a stronger workplace?
Okay, so I'm going to tell you two things. There could be different ways in which we bring in diversity and inclusion. How are we going to bring in? We bring in a lot of diverse workforce. Now, if we are in Maharashtra, we don't really want to say that we only will be bringing in people who are Marathi. We would be bringing in people who are different talents, different competitiveness, different expertise, different teams, different area expertise, different talent management strategy. So this will bring in what? Different people, different cultures, putting in their efforts together to bring in a more happier workspace and a best financial parameters to perform. What could be the activities? Do different diverse activities, like do some briefings, do some brainstormings, get some interpersonal skills to be related, do some colorful activities, have some happy hour events where you can just be yourself talking about people, do some company culture activities. Maybe now, since we have festivity and we are far away, what we can do is, even on the computers, if we bring in different cultures, what do they do during the Jira? Then probably put it together, get a snapshot of it, put it on the board, create a collage of it, or maybe have some kind of a vision board that everybody has different visions to drive to get the company's goals together. Post some story links or some kind of incidents which you've come across, which people read and they feel that, wow, this is also another way in which India, being a national origin, can emerge. So what happens is, people read, people emerge, people are allowed to express, and you're bringing in all the ideas together, putting them either on a wall chart or a picture chart or the vision board, or even helping people to understand that these mini events can create miracles for a long time goal. This will be also generating nothing but a diversity calendar. See, every organization have their own goals, but along with the goals, you need to also release something wonderful for the people. When you think of the people, you will remember events, remember conferences, remember speaking events, remember some fun things which you want to engage your people, so that they feel let free. At the same time, they don't feel judgmental or attacked. So you don't want any posh cases, or you don't want anybody doing unwanted, unwelcome requests. So this diversity calendar will keep reminding you that you need to be more interactive, you need to bring in more cultures. At the same time, you need to draw a line. What is diversity and inclusiveness, and where you need to draw a line to keep your space, awareness, engage more people, and still make it a safe, happy, healthy environment.
Again, ma'am, it was really a quite helpful answer from your side, and I think today it's a kind of privilege that today we got a chance to hear all these things from you. Ma'am, my next question to you is, if we talk about the organization performance, then how organization performance totally depends upon employee engagements.
So, if I have anybody who's very fearful, for example, I work as a POSH expert and a POXO expert. What POSH means is prevention of sexual harassment. We help organizations draw a solution, an entire system. POSH is not basically a training or just a program or another compliance system. It is basically a solution for an organization to grow. So it all starts with the training, the awareness, the policy creation, the helping of the IC members to upskill their skill development system, at the end of the day to help them on every month what are the compliant documents, and finally the audits. So we are equipping each and every aspect of your culture, of your organization to grow and bloom. When we are doing that, what happens is we come across people who feel, I think maybe my leadership post level people are not very open. Maybe I'm not able to express all my thoughts when we come for a meeting. Maybe there could be situations where people undergo harassment or undergo some kind of abuse and violence which they are not able to speak up. So with us at Right to Rise, that's my organization, we believe that the growth and productivity of an organization and workplace should be gender inclusive, should be gender sensitive for you to understand and empathize with the people, and one of equality, respect, dignity for all genders. So today we don't have only male and female, we have male, female, LGBTQ, Q+, so that's lesbian, gay, transgender, QR+, bisexual, and queer community. So keeping all these gender inclusive together, sensitive about their emotions, about the way they handle things, many fall victim of this abuse and they get anxious, they get assaulted, they have post-traumatic disorders, and that's where we fall a puzzle piece in the middle, trying to design signature programs, signature activities, compliance activities, audit processes, so that we can design your complete system to be real, practical, solution-oriented, and comply with the law to make it a safe, healthy, inclusive workplace. So that's what I feel that, avoiding that fear, being able to speak up, bring in more inclusiveness in ideas, ideologies, allowing different people to grow at different leadership posts, all this can help you to grow.
All right, ma'am. Ma'am, my next question to you, being an entrepreneur, what do you believe, what can be the best possible ways to motivate and boost employees' performance as well as productivity?
So being an entrepreneur, how do you boost people's confidence? What you're asking.
Yes.
Right. Very interesting question, Harsh. I always say that start your day with a positive mind. I think I have my team who approaches me. We have meetings in the morning and in the evening. So early in the morning, I'm sure that there is so much to feed in your mind. If you feed your mind with a positive mindset, for example, you have at around 8 a.m., I tell them early in the morning when you rise, some of them rise at 8, some of them rise before that. If you can have a little time with yourself, meditate, or maybe just be yourself, have a coffee, sit down in your balcony, or just listen to some nice music. It could be some meditative music, it could be Ho'oponopono music, which is forgiveness prayer, it could be some sound bowl therapy, it could be something where you're spending the me time with yourself. Some people do pranayama, some people do yoga, some people do meditation, some people do Zumba or salsa or exercise or Pilates or anything. Get one form of exercise as an entrepreneur. Yeah. I think if your work is good, you don't need to boost anybody. See, employers and clients and everybody, or whether it's so my clients are even individuals. My clients are even people in the companies. So I was telling, in case you want to boost your employers in terms of your individuals. For example, somebody comes to me for mentoring. Whether he's the VP of the company or whether he's an individual running something, a small startup or a woman entrepreneur. So I'm the president of Wiki Maharashtra for Chamber of Commerce and Trade, also as All Ladies League and Women Economic Forum chapter heads. I run and help women to set up their own entrepreneurship journey. Now, whether you're an individual or a company owner or an employer or an employee, let the person first speak. It's a very simple tip. Let him speak and you listen. Both are very difficult things. What we are excited about is always speaking. Right? Secondly, try and sense the person's body language. Is he happy? Is he sad? Is he frustrated? Is he anxious? Is he anxiety? Is he in anxiety? Is he stressed? Is he frustrated? Is he happy? Is he over happy? Is he in festivity? If you go and speak to a client when he's in festive mood about work, is he going to talk to you? Or if you go and talk to a person who's having somebody in his family COVID positive and you go talk to him about work, is he going to listen to you?
Never.
The problem with people is they know everything in an image consultant background. They know that you have eyes, you have mouth, you have ears, you have everything what God has gifted you to understand the mainframe of the other person. The only thing you need to do is be present, which is very difficult. We need to understand the other person. If the person is not in that frame, then you have to act as per the frame. It says all the world is a stage. That's what Shakespeare said. This is a stage. You need to play your part and play it well. You can only play your part when you are a hero or a heroine and you're in the present frame. If you're going to be sitting here and thinking about all the things you have left, I can be thinking about the workshop, I can be thinking about participants, I can be thinking about emails, I can be thinking about my team, I could be thinking about the next meeting, I could be thinking about everything, including food and family and kids and everything. But how does that help me being present here? Is it going to help and aid my interview? Is it going to help people grow? Is it going to help give value? If I need to give value to that person, I need to first listen and understand what is he trying to tell me. Is he in that mind frame? What is the solution he wants? Is he wanting it now or maybe after some time? Like for example, if you're going to give him something like take my tax return or probably take my investment or my insurance or things like that, you just want it now, you can't keep pushing to him. He's telling you he wants it after January. So you need to make a note and come back in January. So don't be very pushy with your clients. Allow them to be the way they are. Understand and be present there. Realign your thoughts with their thoughts. At the end of the day, it's all about a relationship which you want to draw. Is it now or is it forever? Is it just one shot or is it forever? So once you draw that relationship, then it becomes much more easier because you become more human. That's what I can say. And clients like people who are human rather than people who are stressed or people who are complaining or people who are cribbing or people who are very pushy. So I think that helps. If you help with your client, it will work well and wonders.
All right, ma'am. It was really a very quite insightful answer from your side, and I'm quite impressed that you are sharing all these things on our platform. And the viewers, those who are watching this session, of course, they are going to learn from it. I'm pretty sure about this. Ma'am, my next question to you: how collaboration powers productivity?
When you are dealing with collaboration, remember one thing: why are you collaborating? Collaborating, is it over a contract? Is it going to give you some revenue generation? Are you doing it for just branding? Are you actually helping in terms of employee engagement? Is it helping you grow the employee productivity? What is the customer collaboration for? Is it an Indian collaboration? Is it an abroad collaboration? Is it a customer-centric collaboration where routing or reporting is supposed to be done? Is it growing enterprises over the globe? Is it something where you are looking at customer care or maybe you're looking at much more higher projects? Collaboration is a very big word. And one important thing when you do customer collaboration for their satisfaction and for yours is collaborate with somebody who's more higher to you in ideologies, in money, in bringing things on the table, because that will help you understand. People generally collaborate with people who are below them or maybe equivalent to them. I don't know how you can collaborate with somebody who's equivalently in the same stage, or maybe somebody who's doing your same work. You need to have somebody who's better to you, because somewhere he will add some values and talents, somewhere you will add. And never be insecure of growing. When I get somebody in my team, I always see that he's skilled much higher than me in some areas. Why? Because there are two things you can gain in that. He will add more value to your company. He will bring in new ideas which you don't probably know or not implemented. And he's not going to be insecure because you have already opted him as the best possible solution. But if you're going to be getting somebody who's below you, all your time and money will be going only in resources and in training him, getting him to understand you. Maybe he doesn't align with your thoughts. Maybe he's not the right person for your team member, and many other ways. And they should always be complementing talents. So you might be good at operations, somebody else can be good at finances, third person can be good at HR, fourth person can be good at talent acquisition, fifth person can be good at any other aspect with regard to your industry, whether you're law, legal, pharma, IT, oil and natural gas, or any of the other sectors. But I'm just saying that focus on what the person is and whether he can add value in specific areas where you are lagging, where your company needs growth, where he also adds a lot of value and grows because he's looking for something else to complement which is there in you. That will help you grow as an organization when you're collaborating. Collaborations which are not done well will not last very well. So ideally, if you are not sure about who to collaborate and you're just experimenting, then be careful that when you're experimenting, make a small commitment to somebody saying that, this is what I can commit. And let's see how we can go alongside. If it works, great. And when it works wonders, keep growing, make another contract. Start small, start petty is what I say. Maybe I'm not sure on the timeline. I can't say 3 months, 6 months, 1 year, 2 years. That's for you and your partner to decide. But yes, start small and see if that your synergies match, your energies match, your levels of allocating resources and people management, bringing in more wonderful talents, growing the stage of ladder. Do you match with the same mindset? All those things do matter, even if you're from the same family or you've known each other for 20 years. Doesn't really matter.
All right, ma'am. Ma'am, it was really a very great listening all these things from you, and the kind of energy you brought into the session. It was really, really very great, and there's a lot to learn from you. But today we have sort of time, and also I know that you have next back after this you have another session, so I don't want to take you much time. So moving to my last question of this session, ma'am. During this pandemic, because of this pandemic, many startup founders finding this time is very challenging. So what will be advices from your side to them?
So my advice for everybody in pandemic is that keep growing, keep learning. Today is the era of agility, resilience, calmness, and understanding between you and your client, an understanding of what the need of the market is, and the need of the market is not going to stay the same. So every time you need to keep on regenerating, you need to keep learning, you need to keep innovating. Creativity, AI, emotional intelligence, a lot to do with gender sensitization, a lot to understand more equality. All these are going to be the new culture ethics and the new way of living. So pandemic is the new way. Staying at home and working, but understanding your client through this technology is a new way. Try adapting it as soon as possible. I know it's difficult for some of the clients who have vendors, clients, employees working at the ground level, like manufacturing industries, chemical factories, power factories. But I think still there are provisions where you can put just one screen and everybody in front of it, and then you can connect them. It's going to be difficult for all the people who connect and who are not offline people, but they are people of connect and they like to be only face to face. But start, at least make a start, because today if you start, you will be somewhere down the line in the months to come. But if you're never going to make a start and come out of your comfort zone is going to some way put down your energies, and you don't want that, because you have families to grow with. You have to stay safe, you have to stay happy and keep growing, keep rising, because we believe that everybody has the right to rise.
All right, ma'am. It was really a very positive and inspiring advice from your side. And thank you so much, ma'am, for joining on our show and our talk show.
Thank you, Harsh.
It was
Thank you
really
so
very
much.
great discussing with you. Thank you so much, ma'am. We look forward to conduct more session with you. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you, Harsh, and thank you, Honest Talks. Thank you, Freak Talks, and everybody in the team. I think it was wonderful to be here and wonderful to be a part of this association with all the, the invitations which were given, the humility by which you were called. Thank you so much once more for having me.
It's our pleasure, ma'am. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Okay.
Thanks for watching. Please like, share and subscribe.